I hopefully won't have to pause this video. Hopefully I can record it all the way through, only because Panzer in particular is having the bad crazies, and he just wants to fight everybody right now. It's a mess, but let's see what tea we have for today. Today's tea is 7. Where are you, 7? There you are. I almost thought I had the golden ticket. Tea riddle. I'm all for digestion. For that, there's no question. What's peppermint, fennel, and a sweet hint of licorice? I'm the healthful herbal for after the main dish. What tea am I? TMI. Okay, today's tea is Southern Sunrise. No ticket. Well, you can see this a little bit better than the other tea, but nope, I lied. So we're gonna consult the back of the book. Southwestern Sunrise, here we go. White hibiscus, lemongrass, and grapefruit bring this fruity brew to life, inspired by an Australian summer. This sunny Tanzania will brighten the morning with its tantalizing aroma. Ingredients: apple, white hibiscus, apple pomace, natural and artificial flavor, sweet blackberry leaves, lemongrass, grapefruit peel, and citric acid. Okay, but is it, it doesn't say exactly what type of tea it is. Oh well, let's see what it tastes like. Okay, let's see. Yeah. It vels. It smells very fruity. Not in a good way, though. I don't know. Let's see. Ooh, that was real liquidy. It tastes like it's trying to be apple cider, but it's not. So the apple is really strong, but none of the other flavors. Oh, and I have more than one of these cups, along with more of the Jelly Belly cup that you've seen. I don't like this. It's like it tries to be a fruity tea, but it's not doing it for me at all. So, what to talk about today? Let's talk about pets, since I'm dealing with my little hassle behind me. Let's see. I've owned cats since, on and off, since I was, well, I've owned pets, I should say, all my life. Started with a goldfish that one of my uncles gave to me. Those, we didn't know about goldfish care back then, and they ended up jumping out of the tank and sticking to the kitchen floor. So no more goldfish after that. After my mom died, I moved in with an aunt who had 2 Siamese cats. And so I lived with cats for a while until they passed away. One of my other aunts was moving into an apartment from where she was staying at, and she had a rabbit. She was no longer able to keep that rabbit, and so she gifted it to me, of course asking my aunt first. Again, we didn't know anything about raising rabbits, and it stayed outside. It died at an old age, though, but here's the, also, in between the fish and moving in with my aunt who had cats, I also had a canary, which my grandpa gave me. The canary passed away too, but my mom, who was alive at the time, she gave me the story that she was cleaning his cage, she had let him out, and the window was open, and she said that he found a girl bird to be with, and they flew off together. And back when I was a kid, I accepted that. I thought, okay, that's fine. I wasn't upset. So my aunt had heard of the story, and when my rabbit named Poncho, hold on a minute. Sorry about that. I told you I'm having cat issues. So when my aunt heard about the canary story, she thought, okay, when my rabbit Poncho died, that my other aunt gave me, she thought she would give me the same story. It backfired on her, though, because one, I was older, and two, my aunt's backyard had a fence, and on the other side of the fence was a busy freeway. And so when she said that Poncho had ran away to be with a girl bunny, I envisioned in my mind him going across the freeway, and you can take it from there. So yeah, I was super upset about that. Didn't work. And then it was sometime later after that, well, not sometime, it was a short time later that my uncle, who, my aunt had married my uncle, and he had moved in, and that same uncle, one of his coworkers had a rabbit who had had babies. And so he got a rabbit for me from that coworker. Again, still not knowing anything about rabbits. It stayed outside instead inside where it should be. That rabbit didn't last long either, unfortunately. Just because we didn't know any better. And there's so much more information about how to raise rabbits. But back then, that's how you raised rabbits. And it's messed up, I know. Sometime after, I think we named it Snowball. Sometime after Snowball died, I was living with, actually, this is, there we go. Make my face a little brighter. Sometime after that, my dad had remarried. My mom passed away when I was 6. My dad remarried when I was about, should be 10? Yeah, I think 10. Yeah, 10. And we ended up, we did several moves. And one of the last moves that we did together, the 3 of us, was move into a house that belonged to my grandpa on my mom's side of the family. And he allowed us to have a cat. But the thing is, my dad and stepmom wanted the cat outside, not inside. So Spunky was an outdoor cat, but sometimes we would let him in the garage. When the weather was bad, it was raining, all that. But there were times when they weren't home, I would sneak him inside just, for pets and cuddles and all that. He was a good cat. He was my first tuxedo cat that I had. He could have been Maine Coon, I'm not sure. I knew more about Maine Coons later on than I did then. He was a good cat, but he ended up running away after having him a couple years. Actually, what happened was, one more, because he had a flea collar and he had a collar and tag. And one day he showed up without his collar and tag, and then the next week he showed up without his flea collar, and then he didn't show up at all. And at first we thought, oh, this was just one of his things, because when we had initially went to make an appointment for him to get him neutered, he disappeared that morning. Couldn't find him for a week, and then he comes back like nothing happened. So we had to lock him in the garage until we made the second appointment, and then take him to it. It was a mess. After Spunky, I had two of the kittens that they didn't last long. They met a pretty tragic end. It's hard to think about, much less talk about. Then after that, I moved in with, sometime later. I ended up living in Texas at one point, and I had it was a Chihuahua Terrier mix, and she loved me, but I only stayed in Texas for a short while while I had her. And when I moved, I couldn't take her with me because technically she was my dad's dog. Like my stepmom bought it for my dad, but the dog had attached to me, not my dad. And so, thinking it was my dad's dog, I didn't take her with me. And she got so heartbroken after I moved that she ran off after like a month. Later on, I moved in with one of my roommates, and he had cats. He had two very interesting kitties, which I fell in love with, loved. Then there's just so much moving that we've done. There was one, after that, there was a few years, no cats, nothing like that, after we had moved. And then we lived in Reno. We had moved to Reno because of the roommate's job. And we thought, let's go to the ASPCA and just look. We'll just look around and look at the cats. Well, ooh, that was a good drink. It was June, it was a hot day, and this couple was dropping off the place was closed, so we were waiting for it to open. And this couple dropped off this box of kittens. It was actually not a box, it was like a cat carrier full of kittens. And we kind of went over to look, and they kept trying to get us to get these two particular cats. But there was a third cat that kept being stepped on by the other two. And that's the one we ended up being interested in. And despite them trying to persuade us not to get that one, we got that one. And he ended up he had some problems. He was a special needs cat. He had problems with his hearing, with his sight, with his joints. Toward the end of us having him, I actually had to get special medicine to feed him, when it was the winter time, to help with his joints. He started out as an indoor cat, but then he started being destructive. He started doing this posturing. He was the male of the house, and he was going to assert dominance by peeing on everything. And everything that belonged to, back then it was my brother and my nephew. So he became an indoor cat. And actually he loved being outdoors. He had so much freedom. He ran around the neighborhood, and he loved it. Actually, once we moved from Reno with Voodoo, we lived with Mom for a while. And so Mom had, one of her cats had passed away, so she had one remaining, and then she had gotten a dog for the junk boy. And so we had a cat, a dog, and then our cats. And Mom's cats became the sensei to Voodoo, and teaching Voodoo how to hunt, how to be quiet, how to be stealthy, basically how to be a cat. And then the dog would try to bully Voodoo, and after a little training from his cat sensei, he started bullying back the bully to get the dog to knock it off. It was very funny to see. And there's a couple other stories I'll tell at a later time of those two. And then we moved to, after living at Mom's place, we moved to an apartment with Voodoo. That's where I lived with my brother and nephew. And unfortunately, it was because of his different health issues and defects, his throat was not correct. And he didn't have a voice box, so he couldn't meow properly. He huffed. And unfortunately, he also wasn't good at coughing up hairballs, and that's one of the ways he ended up passing away. And he was a good cat, but we knew he wouldn't last very long. And so the years that we had with him, we made sure that they were, to the fullest, full of love and pets and, just understanding of him. Well, while I had Voodoo, I decided, because Voodoo ended up being my roommate's cat, I wanted a cat for myself. And while we were living in the fourplex around the corner from where we live now, one of our neighbors, sorry about the meowing, one of our neighbors had kittens. Their cat had kittens. And so I went by to look at one of them, and they were in a bad situation where they couldn't afford to feed these cats. And actually, I was helping them with cat food from Voodoo's food. And as soon as I could, I took one of the kittens. Voodoo had only gotten along with male cats. And so when I asked, they said, "Oh yeah, all the black cats are boys." Okay. So I took a black cat. And I couldn't understand why Voodoo didn't like this kitten. I thought maybe it's just because it's a kitten. And so I would protect this little black, furry kitty. And I'd put it, in the cat carrier at night so that, Voodoo wouldn't get to it or nothing like that. And wouldn't hurt it. And then as the kitty grew up, the kitty who is now known as Grim, we found out Grim was a girl, not a boy, which we explained everything of why Voodoo didn't like her. But now, Voodoo passed away. Now we still have Grim. Grim is about 7, 8 years old, I think. I have to look at a calendar. I think it's 7. And with my brother and nephew moving out, I got 2 new roommates, one of them being the Junk Boy. So we got 2 new cats in the process, my roommate's cat and the Junk Boy's cat. So the Junk Boy's cat, you've seen in previous videos or previous vlogs. She's the nice, fluffy, sweet-looking one. That's Honey Nozuka, or Honey for short, H-A-N-I. And then we have Panzer, who is the gray, kind of stout, kind of walks like a pit bull, sits like a pit bull, kitty, which we think has some Russian blue in him. That's Panzer. And right now, it's Panzer's having the crazies, and he's just going berserk. But having a cat is not boring, I love having cats. I've had, like you've heard, I've had cats most of my life. I love kitties, and it's interesting living in a house with 3 of them before. But, I love all 3 of them, even if they want to fight and beat each other up or bully each other. It's just, yeah. So there are some pets that I do want to get, but unfortunately my roommate is afraid of them. He's either afraid of them or I'm afraid the cats will eat the ones that I want, because I do want to get tarantula at some point, and yeah, that's not gonna fly. But anyways, what are some of your pets or some pet experiences that you've had? You know, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. Oh yeah, and if you ever heard jingle bells whenever I'm doing vlogs, that's either one or the other. But yeah, this video got super long. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, we're just talking about pets today, and I don't think I've ever talked about the different pets that I've had, so there you go. I'll give more stories, more details about some of the antics I've had of pets in the past in a later video. So, that's all for now. This tea is gross. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay happy. No. And I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.